Art has a unique ability to engage people into conversation and into dialogue, and especially when it is a sensitive topic.
People don't like to talk about it, especially publicly. Exhibition like this is fantastic.
We are taught in grade school, we're taught to be polite and to fold our hands and sit neatly and nicely and quietly, and you don't talk about these things. So we end up holding it in and complicating the damage that has been done, something that needs to stop.
We settled on Bruised as a common theme to help tie into domestic violence.
Right now, it's important for women to speak up because we are losing more rights sometimes than we have had in the past. I felt like this was the time to speak up and to share my story, and it also helps me heal at all the different levels.
One of the things that I wanted to do was create a space that was safe for our community to come together and to express their feelings, tell their stories, which are all very important. Stories of domestic violence can range from children in a domestic abuse situation, it could be spousal abuse, it can take on forms of physical, mental, many different types. It's different for everyone.
One day after school, I was hanging out with one of my classmates. She just seemed very down, and then I asked her what's wrong. And then she explained to me that, apparently her dad was beating on her mom.
I mysteriously went blind in my left eye. My specialist asked if I had had head trauma somewhere early in my life, and I had to admit that I had indeed had my head slammed into a wall many, many times. And so I'm dealing with that in my old age, and both of my parents are gone. In the process of that, I thought it's kind of time for me to come out of another closet and open up about this, because it's just so wrong.
I experienced domestic violence early in my marriage. I'm now divorced. There's still a lot of people that don't know that about me because I kept it a secret.
A lot of people equate it to the battle of the sexes and, the old movies of the 1930s and stuff. It isn't just that. I was in a relationship with another man and experienced the violence all over again. It can happen to women who live with women and men who live with men, children. When I was a young person, if I had reported it, it was me who would have been arrested. Making the victim the criminal has got to stop.
I grew up in a household that had domestic violence. It came in many different forms, through physical, verbal abuse, mental abuse. As a child, you are an innocent victim in a situation, not knowing how to deal with such a heavy topic, and a lot of that is put on your shoulders. So this show in particular, and some of my pieces, represent that generational violence and how it impacts family members and friends of families, and how that continues through many years, the trauma. So one of my pieces helps to focus on generational abuse, growing from that situation and being self-reflective and able to understand some of the dynamics that are a part of that generational abuse so that you don't repeat it.
Originally, when I was invited to the show, I have no idea what I want to do because there's so many perspectives, so many different approaches for this show. And it was all about my own emotions surrounding this topic. And then suddenly I realized this isn't about me. It's about the viewers who have gone through this. At that moment I decided I'm going to focus my theme on positivity, hope, recovery and healing.
I think art is a great tool not only to reflect personal experiences, but it helps therapeutic-wise to work through your story.
One of the pieces is a picture of myself probably 35 years ago, and I guess that was really putting myself out there as sticking my face on a wall.
They were abstract because it was easy for me to sort of see on my good days. Much of what I was looking at was through a dark brown haze. When I went blind due to abuse and other things, I could not, with my legs, I couldn't get up and down the stairs to my studio. I had to build a brand new studio on one half of the kitchen table. Art is therapy. And sometimes we actually have to be our own therapist.
Relationships are complicated. They're not all of it's bad. And when abuse happens, sometimes they'll tell you that, they're sorry, this will never happen again. And you believe them wholeheartedly because I think they believe it when they say it to you, but especially when alcohol or addiction is in the mix, that it continues. That was a really hard piece to do. It's a bit disturbing for me to look at, but it was also very healing to do.
My piece, even though the onions inside a bird cage, but you could see that the cage cannot stop the onion from blossoming into flowers. Reach out towards the sky, overcome it. Even though this is your past, you can still overcome it and you can still grow.
I was really happy to be a part of this show. It was liberating. It helped do deeper healing, and it broke the silence. I'm honored to be a part of it.
I don't focus on the trauma as much as I focus on messages of positivity, of resilience, of hope, of courage. I think a lot of artists that are talking about domestic violence or showing their work are also trying to have that positive message that you are not defined by one situation. There's always room for growth, there's room for healing, there's room for a lot, and art is the perfect opportunity to show that and to make something beautiful.
We need to face our fears and allow ourselves to be acknowledged as brave people.
We are supporting Remedies Renewing Lives of Rockford. Portions of our sales will help benefit that program towards domestic violence.